Good evening. Welcome to the February 5th, 2026 Municipal Planning Commission meeting for the town of Smyrna. With that, I will call the meeting to order, and if you'll stand with me, we'll have a prayer and pledge. Father, thank you for today. Thank you for blessing us as richly as you do in this town. Be with us tonight as we deliberate. Grant us wisdom, discernment, as we go about the town's business. Father, we thank you for our planning staff and all the departments that assist with preparing the packets for us and getting the information in front of us. Father, thank you for our first responders. Bless them, protect them. And Father, thank you for all our employees who give so much of themselves to this town to help it make it to be such a wonderful place it is. Be with us tonight. Bless us, guide us. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You face the flag with me, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up tonight, we have a public hearing, plan of services for Catalyst Design Group, 7025 Del Thomas Road. Kevin?
Yeah, this is just the plan of services. The annexation is on your agenda later. State law does require you all to hold a public hearing on the plan of services before you make a recommendation to the council for the annexation and plan of services. So this puts in writing the services the town would be providing if we choose to annex the property, including the parcels that were requested, as well as the right-of-way of Rocky Fork Almaville Road and Del Thomas Road that are also recommended for annexation. The town would be providing all services to this area except for water, which would be provided by Consolidated Utility District. And that's all that I got.
Okay, and with that, I will open the public hearing for anyone that would like to come forward and to provide comments concerning this. Just as a reminder, comments are limited to 3 minutes. I was going to say Catherine, but it looks like Mitch will keep time. So if you would like to come forward, if you could give us your name, address, and whether you live within the town limits or not. No one? Okay, then we will close the public hearing and I will call the Planning Commission back in session. Okay. And with that, next on our item is a public hearing. Citizens' comments. I think we have one gentleman here that would like to be heard. Enoch Gerald. Enoch, if you'd come forward. And just to remind everybody that the citizens' comment period is reserved for those that have signed up to address a board or committee. We need at least 24 hours of advance notice, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If you get to the end of the 3 minutes and you haven't gotten everything out, we're happy to have you submit in writing anything else you'd like to get in front of us. And with that,
thank you. I can make this in 3 minutes. I'm Enoch Gerald, live at 8468 Del Thomas for the last 30-something years. I am in the county. I am in favor of this development. A couple things I'd like for the Planning Commission staff to consider as it comes in. Their access on Del Thomas is only 250, 300 feet from the intersection with Rocky Fork Almaville. And I'd like to see that. I know that there's been a traffic study and staff has indicated they're going to do some intersection improvements with alignment. But I'd like to see them widen that road, really 3 lanes all the way to their drive. With construction traffic, it's going to be coming in and out of there. And if you're coming down Del Thomas trying to make a left onto Rocky Fork Almaville, it's a sharp turn. So if they could do that, widen to 3 lanes, and I'd like to see that done on the front end. Just, that's a construction plan thing, but as they go through the annexation, I'd like to see them do that. Also, on Rocky Fork Almaville, coming down where the Epcon is Reflection Drive, there's it's striped for like a a left turn into Kedron Church, but it's wide enough to add a left turn in the reflection. I'd like for staff to look at that as that comes through as well. But like I say, I am in favor of the development. We first moved out there years ago. My wife said, "You're crazy. We're out in the middle of nowhere." I said, "We won't be some of these days. You just wait." And here it comes. So we're not opposed to any of the development out through there. So that's all of my comments, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Ana. Okay, we are now on to our next agenda item, which is approval or corrections of the minutes of the January 8, 2026 regular meeting and the January 29th, 2026 quarterly joint meeting, and that's held with us and the council. Counselor, are the meeting minutes in order?
No rules to form unless the commission has any amendments you'd like to make.
Are there any amendments, changes, or discussions in relation to the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the January 8 and January 29 minutes.
I have a motion to approve the January 8th and January 29th minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes of the January 28th and January 29th, 2026 meetings, minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. We are now on to old business. Our first item is a rezoning request. Vintage Harbor Brook LLC, Vintage Smyrna Block 1 owner LLC, Waldron Vester Family Limited Partnerships LLC, 5,000 Needham Drive, 4,000 White Birch Avenue, and Needham Drive, PRD amendment to a PUD. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a request to amend an existing approved PRD. It was a four-phase multifamily development on Old Nashville Highway and Jeannie Lane, but with obviously some new roadways extended into it as well. Phase one is completed. They're getting ready to get started on phase two right now. The surrounding zoning is a mix of R4, R6, C2 and PRD in town, and R2 in agriculture in Laverne, as this does border Laverne as well. The land use plan for this area is the Sam Ridley character area, which would support a combination of retail uses and services that kind of for local and regional scale uses and services. Major thoroughfare plan does designate Old Nashville Highway as a minor arterial and Needham Drive and Carriage House Drive as collectors. Adequate right-of-way either exists or will exist when plats are recorded for those streets. The proposed amendments that are proposed within this PRD to create a planned unit development for a mixture of uses. There's really four. One, allowing up to 10 office suites in each phase. Again, there's four phases. The minimum building separation would be 20 feet instead of 30 feet. Each phase is responsible for the maintenance of the common areas and common space in lieu of an owner's association, and that the common parkland was proposed to be given to the town in lieu of a common space owned and maintained by all the phases. That has actually been approved by council already to the agreement and the acceptance of that. The paperwork and all still needs to be executed, but it has been approved by council to do that already. We had some comments that we had regarding this, and essentially what this is there's some spaces on each floor of these buildings that are relatively small. They're not large enough for as to be an apartment unit or anything like that. They're anywhere from 100. Some of them are larger, 200 or 300 square feet. And basically, these are what they're wanting to do is rent those out as for non-residential uses. And so this is this has primarily been requested. And so we had some comments, largely fire code related as far as upgrades to those spaces, the existing as well as any future spaces to meet life safety standards, and that there would be an occupancy inspection required before renting out the units, and so before they're occupied, just to verify. And this is primarily, the exit lights and extinguishers and things like that that might be necessary. And We did have some concerns regarding some of the businesses that were sharing enclosed residential hallways that would have customers or clients coming into the building. Since that time, there's been a little bit more information provided us, including that the hallways are key card accessed, so no one can enter unless they have a key card, meaning they live there, or they're allowed by someone with a key card. So if someone does have a business, they would have to allow, say, a client or a customer in. It wouldn't just be people wandering into there that looking for the place for the business that they're looking for or whatever. The uses that are proposed have been further limited. They were pretty wide open the last time, and the uses are much more limited now. And so some of those concerns have been alleviated. But we would just recommend, these are already kind of built. Obviously, again, phase one is completed. We would recommend that non-residential uses be limited kind of to the first floor and the common areas in the future phases where you have, you know, the mail rooms and the gyms and things of that nature. We already have some mixing of folks already and just more open to the public anyway. Feel better about in those locations versus, again, sharing the hallways, even with the key card access limitations. Phase one, again, as I stated earlier, has been constructed. Staff's understanding, and this is from the fire department, that the state fire marshal's office, the buildings were only approved for residential. So we'd ask for a written statement of approval from the fire marshal's office for non-residential uses in phase one. They did give us a letter regarding phase two, and the fire marshal has approved that. If they would, we really just want one for phase one, just so that they'll make sure that the fire marshal's office is aware of it and is okay with it. Since these plans, because of their more than three more stories, do have to go to the fire marshal for review as well. Number 9 is really kind of outside of the scope of the PUD amendment, but it was just something I wanted to bring to their attention and to everyone else's attention. The original PUD required that there's some landscaping within the public right-of-ways within this PUD, primarily on White Birch Avenue, but and you know, medians, landscape medians, and things of that nature. And so within that original PRD approval, it was to be maintained by the homeowners, not the homeowners, but the property owners association. Each phase of the development would have an owner, so you'd have 4 different owners potentially. And so as this association is essentially not going to be created now, because there's not going to be the common open space that they're maintaining, they're just going to maintain each individual space. Obviously, that's going to have to be worked through as to who is going to maintain that right-of-way landscaping moving forward. They recommended or phased that each phase would be maintaining the portion of the road that they abut and that sort of thing. That might can work out. Each one of those phases would then have to have a separate agreement with our council to put in writing what they're responsible for and who's responsible and that sort of thing. So there's still some paperwork. Again, that's kind of outside the scope of the PUD amendment, but I did want to at least bring that to everyone's attention because it came up with these changes. So again, we have this is something we looked at last month, and it was deferred with some additional information that's on your desk there. Again, there's some plans that show kind of what the floor plans that kind of show what the size and locations of these spaces, as well as the original PUD document, just amended to include some of those non-residential uses that they're proposing. And let me get to the page that shows those. It's kind of on each phase, but there's a list of about a dozen or so that they're proposing as uses. So I think that's all that I have at this time.
Any questions for Kevin concerning this?
Kevin, do you have a list of the changes that they've made for the uses allowable in those units that are in the ones that are already built?
I don't have the original list in front of me, no. I know there were some construction offices and things of that nature that we were concerned about equipment being parked on site and different things, and they still have that use, but only as no outdoor storage and only just as an office only. I think they had some retail maybe even on it, some of this, and that has been removed. I do recall that one for sure. There's one that has been removed. It's largely office-type uses, insurance or things of that nature. A little bit of personal services, nail techs and things of that nature. And, business accounting type uses. That's primarily what they're talking about. Or just the back office type as a support for other types of uses.
Okay.
Yeah, let me follow up on that, because I was looking to see I was trying to find, and maybe I've overlooked it, what the exact proposed uses are now. Is it,
I think page 11.
is that,
It's kind of, it's on page 9, it's actually 9 through 12, kind of each phase.
And I was looking at
It's the
page
same list
10.
it's the same list on all 4
okay,
pages.
so that's it?
Yeah, those 12.
This is the updated?
Right, these
Okay.
are the updated, yes.
They've cut this way back from what the initial proposal was. There was a lot of ambiguous use, I think, that left a lot of gray areas, and I think some of the concerns we had before were maintaining it all indoors. Could we be opening that up to something otherwise? And it looks like they've taken that out.
Yeah, I met with Ross and the team a few weeks ago, and we kind of talked about this list, and I'm just now found it because you said the page number. And this is consistent with kind of the conversations I had with them. There were some generalizations, like they would just say,
General service.
yeah, general services or something. They really have narrowed that down more specific to include, where it says personal services, they're actually talking about what type of personal services. So I think this limits it much more consistently with the conversation. And then the other thing that we talked about was, one of the things that staff mentioned was this being on the future phases, this being in the first floor only, kind of in the common area that's already there generally, instead of residential halls, which, and the reason it's future phases is because it's already kind of in place in the first phase, right?
Already
So,
built.
and they had already started leasing and then realized that there was a miscommunication between us and them over what was allowed, so they stopped leasing until we had times to revisit this. So they've been a good partner at trying to make sure they get it right. They're not trying to, I don't feel like they've been trying to get away with something, right? They were trying to actually do the right thing and make sure that we were all on the same page.
Yeah, I think initially they didn't realize that they didn't have permission to do that.
Right.
And came back in and started trying to find the correct pathway to make it right.
Yeah, I think they have I don't remember, I don't know if he's here, but they had, let's see them now, they had a couple of units that are empty, that they've just left empty while they've been trying to work through this. So, they've been good partners about this.
Kevin, tell me a little bit about, I think you said staff had a little concern about the first level versus the second or other levels with key card access. Did they, when they talked about the key card, did that eliminate some of the concerns from staff?
Right, because it's not just, because again, our concern was
Safety and.
safety of, and especially with some of the uses that were proposed originally. And, you had potentially have just random, anybody coming down a hallway with, right in front of people's front door, that didn't have any reason to be there other than to be at the business. And just a concern about, from the safety of the residents is our main concern there. The key card does provide a little bit more safety there because, again, you have to have a key card. You have to have access because you have to live there, or maybe you can be, obviously the business owner would have one. But if you are a client of an accountant who has an office there, you're going to have to, the accountant's going to have to come out and get you. You can't just go in there and talk to them. So that provides a little bit better, that at least the person, they're gonna have some relationship and knowledge of who's coming to see them or whatever, and that sort of thing. And so, it limits it, and again, for the rest of the phases, having it, and I think the last page of the separate, kind of the floor plans shows, it's the first page of or the first floor rather, of the clubhouse building in this second phase. They're all clustered together in one area. There's like 6 of them that are shown next to the fitness room, across from the, the mail room and all this kind of stuff. And so it's more in a public space. It's not where
Right.
people are living. So, I felt better about those locations certainly as well. So, I mean, I feel like we're at a much better, much more comfortable level with it. Again, we do still have, because these are commercial uses, even though they are allowed based on the square footage and that sort of thing from an architectural standpoint,
Fire code, fire safety.
and fire safety, but still want to be concerned about, be sure any of those life safety things are met, and so it would require an occupancy inspection and that sort of thing. So, in whatever phase it's in, this phase 1 or 2 or whatever, so.
I guess, just looking at the list, there's only 2 concerns, and maybe you can help me through this. Small electrical repair services, are we talking things that are low voltage, low fire hazard type things, or is there a definition around that?
Backdoor services for that mostly?
Yeah, I think the smaller, I think that's primarily been like the cell phone repair or that kind of thing is what I think is my understanding of it, is what that means. But
Okay, yeah, if you can give us your name and address, this would be a good time to talk to you.
Sir, my name is John Blankenship. Address is 1610 South Church Street, Suite C, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Our intention there is for a cell phone repair service. As stated earlier, we'd started leasing at Phase 1 and discovered we weren't allowed to do this, so we stopped. One of our current tenants repairs cell phones, and that's the intent of keeping that use there.
Okay, and while you're up here, the only other thing I really had a concern with is nail technicians.
Yes, sir. Same thing. One of our current leases on Phase 1 is a nail tech, and several of our residents actually go and see her.
Is there any additional ventilation that's required? Because usually when you see the services like that, you'll see the techs with mask on or anything like that.
As far as I'm aware, no, sir, there's not. Those rooms are ventilated the same as an apartment unit.
Okay,
There's not any additional ventilation required for it, as long as they have a nice fan. They can leave, leave the door cracked or whatever, but it usually dissipates pretty quickly.
something that wouldn't bleed over to
No.
surrounding apartments or anything like that?
No, not at all.
That was my only 2 concerns.
They're good ones. After talking to some of the gentlemen that are here tonight, I'm like Steve. I think some of the services that they provide are actually going to be beneficial to the people that dwell there. I mean, they don't have to go out and drive around town and do some of these things. They have the services right there in their buildings. But I appreciate you guys taking our feedback and cutting this list way back
Yes, sir.
from what the initial allowances looked like they were supposed to be. This is a lot more user-friendly for me.
Yes, sir. We weren't trying to sneak anything by you guys.
No, I
No,
understood
no.
that,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, anything else for John while we have him up here? All right, thank you, sir. All right, anything else from the commission? Any questions for Kevin, or any comments or things that we need to consider? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion that we approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments from Steve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mark. All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve with staff comments. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. We are now on to our next item under old business, which is a site plan, Bailey Equipment and Interlogistics, Tridine Drive, owner, developer, Caravan Ventures LLC.
This is the site plan that was looked at last meeting and was ultimately deferred
due to the elevations not being consistent with design review and with discussion amongst the members. Would like to see it be closer in line with what design review states. So we have a slight modification from when the plans were reviewed last month on this. All the numbers on your development standards for the site data table stay the same as far as the land use or the vehicle use area, the open space landscaping, parking, and handicap. All of that's meeting our regulations. Landscaping, still consistent with what we looked at last month on that. They aren't meeting streetscaping on I-24, but we do need them to meet it on Trident Drive still. The architectural elevations is the one that we were dealing with at the last meeting. The numbers that you have in your packet all remain the same. There are two changes to this, notably the northwest elevation. Those previously showed an overall percent of 50 for metal, 5.1% fiber cement, and 44.4% brick. What has changed in that, they've reduced the amount of overall metal on that side of the building down to 39.1% and increased the brick and glass percentage up to 55.8%. They've also further broken this down in the boxed areas for what they deem as visible, reasonably visible from I-24, and those are the areas where they focused a lot of the efforts on putting those primary materials at. There was a site distance study performed on this as well that showed most of that on the left side of the page on the bottom part. That elevation was entirely visible, albeit for maybe a brief second, but it's still all visible based on the study that they did for the vision areas on the building. So at this time, though, it's still not meeting what design review states should be met for aesthetics for a building of this nature. Standard comments all remain at this time. And staff comment number 1, we had the architectural elevations not meet design review. So that will remain. Comment number 2, first sentence on that about the fire department getting access to all sides of the building. The applicant has provided a full way for the vehicle to get around the building. So the first sentence on that comment can be removed. The second part about the gate being ANSI approved is more of an informational comment at this point in time, but will remain. Staff comment number 3, we asked them to see what fire truck dimensions were used while creating the auto turn through the site. It looks like it's adequate, but we just want to make sure the correct truck was used. So that comment will remain. Comment number 4, we asked them to submit a landscape plan that does meet design review. Comment number 5, more informational. Any outdoor storage, if used, would need to be screened per the zoning ordinance requirements. And comment number 6 from our Public Works Department that storm outfall must connect to the existing structure on site. So with that, we're more or less in the similar position as we were last month. There is an applicant here that would like to speak and has expressed desire to speak to you tonight. So other than that, staff would either A, recommend deferral, or B, a decision one way or another here tonight. So with that, that's all I have.
Were there any changes of the percentages from the last meeting?
Yeah, only the one wall face on page A5 and that lower left side. There's 2 additional slots outside of the boxed area that are brick now that were metal the past time, and that is what has been increased since.
But we still don't need design review?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, if there's someone that would like to come forward and speak to us about it. If you give us,
How much percent are we talking?
And we're still 20-ish% on that side elevation where A5 is on the bottom. The front as well is part of that, and I believe the side and the rear are all good. So we're looking at just those 2 elevations, the side and the front.
Front A5 lower.
Yep. Basically both of them on A5.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Both of them on A5, the front
Okay.
and that side.
All right. Yes, sir, if you give us your name and address, please.
Good evening, Trent Sullivan, Lines Interior and Architecture. I'm the project architect for this project, representing the landowner and Bailey Equipment Company. They have sent me with a few things to address to you this evening. The first is that they're a third generation company. They're been in the Middle Tennessee area for a long time. They're coming to Smyrna. They're excited about making this their new headquarters and their new home. The They're raising children up. They're probably going to have fourth generation that's going to reside in this building. So they retained me because they wanted to put out a product that they could be proud of and carry on their family heritage. They're going to be bringing a lot of jobs down here. They're going to be selling parts and equipment, so that all are going to generate tax revenues. And so they wanted me to make sure that you understood that. We've made a lot of accommodations to meet the criteria, and we've worked with the planning department. What you see here was directly reflected from comments that were provided to us by staff. So we're a little bit unclear why we still don't meet the requirement. I think there is some gray area in 3.4 architectural character. There's some real gray areas in there that could be cleaned up in the language that would help clear this up for anybody that comes to you guys in the future. I review a lot of requirements from a lot of other counties and other jurisdictions, and they have some stipulations and some things that make it very clear what is allowed and what is not allowed. But there's a few words that could be changed that would help. But it's unclear when it says, if the building is visible. Does that mean the entire building? If that building is visible, that this entire building has to have certain materials on it? The primary materials are brick, stone, glass, and glazing. None of those are really appropriate for an industrial building. I don't think anyone would want to see this building all in glass where you can see all the contents on the inside. But by right, we could do that. Also, by right, we could do this as just a gray flush panel concrete building. The requirements, one of your requirements is to allow for us to do that. But do you understand that when you say tilt-up panel, that's a certain particular structure type to support that panel, okay? It drives you to build buildings like that are all up and down this corridor. They're Prologis, big white box with no articulation and no definition. So what we try to do is have some articulation in here, have some different materials, have an appealing building. The fourth thing that others allow is screening, because screening, it defines visibility. There's no provision in here for screening, but our client is willing to put in large, mature vegetation to screen this building if that is required. But in some regards, it doesn't make sense to have big brick lintels to support big openings where overhead doors are and that kind of thing. So that's why brick isn't a really great material to use here. And when you have 30-foot tall buildings without any delineation or differentiation. So we've made our best efforts. The last thing I want to say is the planning, in that part of the design review, it says the Planning Commission may vary from the materials listed above on a case-by-case basis, as long as the decisions do not contradict the goals set forth in this manual. So we're asking that you guys consider this and understand what we're trying to do here. Thank you.
Quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
As far as not meeting design review, is this because of there's issues with engineering, or is it a cost factor?
Well, the materials that we've added since we've started working with the Planning Commission have added over $1.2 million just in skins, brick material, okay? So what's showing here is already a $1.2 million add to this building, all right? In the blue shaded areas, we did a line of sight study, and these are sight lines that are coming from the interstate that you're driving 70 miles an hour on in Rutherford County. So what we've tried to do is, where it's blue is what we think is visible, and in those areas, we're trying to meet the requirement of 70% brick.
Okay. Anything else for Trent? Thank you.
Elevations, all the changes that have been made?
I don't think it's color.
Because I remember the first one I saw, it was
Yes,
pretty
sir.
much all black.
Yes, and this brick will be black as well.
Okay. So the color is going to be roughly the same?
Yes, sir.
He has done a lot of work to change
Well,
that
and
from what it was
when
originally.
he
submitted.
brought it in, it wasn't an ugly building. It was attractive. I think the main thing that we were trying to always stick to is staying consistent with what we've done for others in the past, that since our ordinances have passed, right? There's probably some older buildings out there that if we went back today, we'd change them. But they're there, you know, they've been there for a while, but. So you talked about a little over $1 million in skins from what was described and what it is now. I'm gonna kind of challenge you on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Because had you followed design review initially, this would not be an additional 1.2 million. It would have been done with those skins on it, right? So I hear you, it's a money thing, and I get it. I mean, I totally get it. But adding 1.2 to what you're proposing now, it should have been there to begin with. That's my point.
Well, the architectural review allows for metal panel, as long as it's not visible. It's as long as the
Well,
building
that's
is not
where
visible.
that's where we're dissecting the word of visibility.
It's
isn't it?
right, that's what I'm
Right.
saying, is gray.
Yeah.
From where is it visible? And what visibility? From a helicopter, from a semi-truck, from a pedestrian?
Well, I mean, seriously, let's
I
don't
know,
go
but-
down the helicopter path,
I-
okay?
I'm just saying, but, you know, so I would ask that these areas that are shaded in blue are what are visible, and those portions of the building that are visible meet the 70% requirement.
Mitch, didn't you say that you guys did a visibility study from this?
I think there were,
There it is. And that's a long interstate, right?
Yes, sir.
So you get an opportunity to look over and see that for a few minutes. It feels like. It's
on
not a few
the, on
minutes.
the exit ramp, you see it more than certainly heading
Right.
toward Nashville,
Yeah,
right?
I'm playing kind of the devil's advocate.
Yeah, I
some of your
understand.
times, but
There's a billboard right there too.
Yeah.
Isn't there a new building going up right between this
I've got it.
plant and where the Greco is?
There
It's
is,
currently
yes.
under construction?
Yes.
So you won't have this kind of F and E, you won't see because there's gonna be a building right there blocking it.
To some extent, yes.
Trying to remember the design review on the one being built.
It met design review.
It met our design review. So to Ken's point, when that building is finished, how will that affect this view study?
And really, it's only gonna be on that one face if you're driving into Nashville. I think it's gonna be the only spot that's gonna change as a result of it.
Pieces.
That
Yeah.
building is pushed back a little bit more on that property. There's a
It's-
small drive aisle and such behind the building, so.
When you say push back, you talk about
Towards Trident?
towards Trident?
No, towards
Towards the
24.
freeway.
Towards 24, which is going to block the view of that building even more.
On this, drawing that you have on this map you have on the screen, it's hard to see on the screen, but if you zoom up there, the blue boxes, which is the visibility boxes, for lack of a better description, that he was speaking about, I think those are visible as well on that drawing. And you're saying that inside of those boxes, that meets design review. Is that right?
Are you referring to the blue on here?
Yeah.
On this one, it's from, it's the view shed from either side of that gas station
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
There's blue boxes on.
on the elevations.
Yeah, you just can't see them. It's
talking
Yes, sir. Those are
Yeah.
those are defining the visible areas.
well, it's on the other map too. You just couldn't see it.
Okay.
So, but yeah, that basically and you're saying that everything in that blue box meets design review. Is that right, Mitch? Is
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
And then you said something about the front. The front does or does not?
Does not, though.
And what's wrong with the front?
Mostly glass, yes. We do have a lot of
It's,
metal up there too.
it's about 40.7% brick and glass, yeah. And that front is not, it has some visibility, kind of
Yeah, kind of
briefly.
catty corner, yeah.
You know, if it wasn't for the visibility, which is quite a bit ways off of Lee Victory, but if it wasn't for that visibility, the visibility is from a collector level street. So Tridon is not. So we're not worried about the visibility from Tridon. It's really just for that small window of time that is visible from Lee Victory.
So to his point related to screening, could there not be some significant pine trees or something right there along that side?
Certainly, if that's what the commission would like to see as an alternative to changing the architecture, certainly that is within your purview to do.
Yeah,
yes.
the only reason, I mean, so the heartburn that I have obviously is keeping consistent and staying consistent with design review. In this case, though, it's a little bit unique because none of the roads that's actually this building is on actually matters. It's distance away. If this was on Sam Ridley or on Lee Victory, it's a little different. But because it's literally 1,000 feet away from Lee Victory, I think it's 1,001 feet. That's why I'm thinking maybe screening does still provide us what we need. But I don't know, that's just my thought. If where the blue arrows are, the visibility on each side of that gas station, there was a row of evergreens behind the gas station there, it would pretty much eliminate that view from Lee Victory. And then to your point, that the other building that's already coming in pretty much eliminates most of F and E. And honestly, the part that it doesn't eliminate already meets design review.
Is it 75% of the area that's visible or 75% of the elevation?
It's, yeah, so the way that it's worded here exactly is,
It says 75% of any building facade.
yep, building facade visible from a public street.
Visible from a public street.
Building facade visible from public street.
But that's for, okay, but down lower, it says tilt panel concrete may be allowed for industrial zone. Metal siding may be allowed as a primary material in industrial zones where the building is not visible from an ulterior street. So,
This zoning is I-2.
Yes. And the visibility of the arterials obviously is I-24 and Lee Victory is where they're visible from. Right. Currently.
So except for the visibility from those two roads, does it meet design review if it wasn't visible from those roads?
Yes.
Are you talking about the two blue boxes and the F and E boxes?
I'm talking
Well-
about the building as a whole.
Okay.
So if there was screening to keep
If
it
this
from
was-
being
if this
viewable from
was-
those arterials, it meets design review.
If this were on the opposite side of Tridon Drive, especially if it was further back where there's some buildings already built there, it would be a completely different scenario. But it's the visibility from I-24 and then Lee Victory is where it becomes an issue from a design review standpoint.
Well, just a thought, but as I understand the motive behind these design review criteria on the major arterials, the purpose of it was to have good-looking buildings on the main thoroughfares where you could see them. You know, and this does not meet, they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. They're 1,000 feet away from an arterial. They're next to an interstate where even if you could see the building, it would be for a second or two. You know, you're traveling at 70 miles an hour. So, you know, it seems to me.
Are you?
Hopefully.
You might cut that back 20 miles out of half a second.
If you're out there yesterday morning, you put the video on that.
But it seems to me that we've got a square peg in a round hole here.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think to you and Steve's point, I agree with both of them. Steve's sort of making a recommendation for screening, especially on, I'd say it's the northwest side of the building, I guess, right?
There's a
And,
berm there, as I recall.
There is a berm there.
Instead of 1.2 million in skins, right? And with the building that's coming in next to it, can you tell us a little bit about the height of that building and how that's gonna block or not? Do you know? I put you on the spot.
Yeah, we'd have to go back, and I don't know, it is a,
Do you think it's gonna block the side of this one? That's my question.
I don't think it's as tall as this building. It is, as Mitch said, it is further back. They got quite a bit of parking. It's more of a, that property actually was rezoned to commercial, and it's more of a commercial type of use, indoor shooting range, gun range. So they got quite a bit of parking on the front, and then their building was pushed further back. I don't think, again, I don't think it's quite
But
as
it's still
tall as
gonna
this
put
building.
a blockade in front of it.
It will have some line of sight blocking, but it may not be as tall as this building and completely block it, I guess is where I was
Well,
getting at.
I'm like the rest, everybody up here, our consistency matters to us, but to your point, you know, the visibility of this is kind of a little ambiguous, right? And I don't think that 1,000 feet from Lee Victory is really a big thing.
Especially if there's a little bit of screening, and if everything else that's visible is meeting design review. I was, of course, forgive me, math is not necessarily my strong suit, but I was trying to look at some of these numbers, and even the places where it was a little off, it's not way off. It's a very small percentage. But if that can be eliminated by the other building going up and,
Well, whether you're driving 70 on the freeway or 35 on Lee Victory, 1,000 feet away, are you gonna be able to tell what the finishes are?
You gotta be
You're gonna
looking
see
at it.
You're gonna see a dark structure,
You gotta
but
be looking
that's,
at it, yeah.
yeah, you're not, maybe see a reflection off the glass, possibly.
I think you brought up a very good point, which, you know, I hadn't previously considered, and I was kind of thinking about, you know, we had a restaurant in Sam Ridley we denied for not meeting design review, and I was thinking, you know, if they were in the same situation and they were willing to put up cedar or pine trees or evergreens all the way around their lot to hide their building, would we have approved it or would we have considered it? And in that location, probably not, because it's directly on those arterial roads.
And it
this-
wasn't industrial.
And it wasn't industrial, it was regular commercial, and so I'm not sure that we're not still being consistent. This building meets design review except for the visibility from the arterial areas, and we don't have anything in our code related to screening. And I think that may be something we wanna bring up at the next planning commission for some of these commercial type uses, cause it's a
We
good
haven't got
idea.
to our tree ordinance yet.
I know, well, that's the last one we didn't get last time, right? But that might be a good conversation, because I think it's a reasonable request, I think, to, if you put up screening, it's no longer visible, therefore it meets design review, right? It's kind of a catch-22, right? Now, you know, we run into this all the time, we have, that visibility, that greenery has to be maintained, and 20 years from now, when an ice storm comes through and trees fall down, who's gonna put them back, and, you know, I get it, but that's part of it. So, that's kind of my thought, if this building didn't meet design review except for the view, then I would not even be entertaining, it's gotta meet design review, which technically it does, if you didn't have the visibility.
But as the plan is submitted right now, do we have an effective screening plan as part of the landscape?
No, it would have to, I think we would have to.
You would have
it
to make
adjusted or
add a condition to the approval if you choose to approve it that, and kind of what property line or something along those lines that you, and what you're
Well,
looking for.
I mean, I know it's just more work for them and probably cost, but, what are they even allowed to do along the interstate there? Is there,
Seven Oaks is an example.
If it's outside the interstate right of way, you can plant whatever you want to plant, as long as there's no power lines or something there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Billboard.
I mean, there is, yeah, you probably have to maintain some sort of visibility to the billboard, I'm sure. There's probably some sort of easement, the billboard company
So the
has the
helicopters
easement.
can see.
Well, there are gonna be parked trucks out here, and you're gonna see parked equipment. I mean, screening is actually a really good solution.
Careful, we might make the trucks meet design review.
they have to be camouflaged. That's funny.
If they're permanent.
For what it's worth, Mark, back to your question, that building next door is about 22 foot in height.
And this one's 30?
Architect may know that one better. It's not
Not a big
necessarily
deal.
on plans.
Yes,
Not 50.
it's 30.
Yeah, it's not a 50.
If it was a 60-footer, we'd be having another conversation, but
30's no big deal.
How about all your systems? Are they all on the roof?
No, they are on the backside of the building, between the gun range and they're mounted on the ground, screened.
So nothing exposed on the roof, like we need a
No.
parapet wall or something for them?
The roof looks to have a pretty significant pitch on it,
Yeah.
too.
Or at least, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you may sit down.
Okay, thank you.
I guess my question is, if we were to consider screening as part of this, do we have enough in front of us, or can staff work with these folks to develop a screening plan?
Or does staff want to?
Or, yeah, does staff want to? And I, yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, right now, we have what's proposed, and they're talking about screening, but we don't have anything ironclad here to look at it, because right now, I don't know what type of trees, what size trees, you know.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, with what we have, we would have to make some sort of general screening requirement, which
Yeah.
would probably be overreaching because we don't know. So it might be better to defer and let them come back with, put in the screening they think they can work out, and maybe send it back to us next month with
I
the
think we'd
screening.
want something that would eventually be as tall as the building or something
Right,
like
that's what I'm
that,
thinking. I
so,
mean, I'm
yeah.
I was envisioning when I was talking about it, large pine trees or something, right? Of course, it takes a while for them to get large, but 30 feet is a reasonable tree.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really know if there's any power lines.
Right.
In the way or not, we just had to learn.
Well, that's-
Some municipalities have had to learn about how their trees get their power.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of why I would hate to make a generalization at this point, and then, now we can't meet that because we're not real sure about some of it. But I do think that the screening is probably a good solution at this point.
If we are gonna ask them to come back, though, I think we also need to convey that we very much appreciate the family and the company relocating their headquarters here.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's never in question. I mean, it's a good company, and it's somebody that we would like to see in Smyrna. I just think we want to be fair and consistent as far as design review.
all of those that have gone before us are counting on our consistency that Mark's always speaking so eloquently about.
Well, and fair and consistent.
Have you
So-
guys had something like this in the past? Because not since I've been on, obviously, have we seen anything where it's like this, where it's really,
I think there's a lot of
We've
moving
had some
parts.
industrial projects that are visible from Weekly Lane and others, and they've kind of provided that they're kind of
They did the
along
sides
the
of the
frontage
building.
and the sides of the building that's visible.
But they weren't this big.
They weren't near this big, but, or anything like
but
that.
honestly, they also didn't look this nice. I mean, I'm thinking about like some property we had on Jefferson Pike, it's just all tilt wall. It's nice tilt wall, but it's still just tilt wall.
Right.
So it meets design review, but it still doesn't have the architectural visibility or view that this building has. That's the part I'm having, it's a good looking building. They've put a lot of time and money into the design, and it looks like it'll be a nice fit out there. But technically, it's
Yeah.
got this issue.
I think this one does too. It meets that same criteria. It's a nice looking building, it really
Yeah.
is. And to Charles's point, if we did, hypothetically, if we did either defer this or what have you, and they have to come back next month, I'd like to know that they can come back knowing the only thing we're really trying to do at this point is solve the screening issue. I don't want to beat this up over and over again. We need to resolute that, so at least
If
they
you're
understand.
good with the architecture and all that, it's just a matter of the landscaping plan at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair to them if we're gonna do that, so.
Well, is there a motion we can make that gives staff that control? or would we rather see it come
I
back to
think,
us?
personally, I'd like to see it come back.
I was gonna say, the only thing, if you do make a recommendation, the only thing I ask is you are specific, because when it comes time to permitting, it's.
I was just
a
gonna say
nightmare
whatever
for us.
Mitch wants.
Wouldn't go that far.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No, I think I'll make a motion to defer until the next planning meeting in, I guess, March now. With that, yeah. And of course, you know, not part of my motion, but just really looking at the screening piece.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to defer to the next council meeting in March. Not council, I'm sorry, commission meeting until March. Man, I'm thinking way back. Further discussion?
And in that submission on the next is gonna have clarity as to where screening would be placed, trees, type of trees,
I think,
and
Yeah,
elevation
I
of the
think-
trees when
yeah.
they're planted.
Yeah, where, what type of tree, it'd be like a, you know, like a landscaping plan, yeah, that's what we'd be looking for, yeah. So we can evaluate what
Yeah,
the
obviously,
species and
we're,
height and those
we're
things.
trying to focus on that visibility from those arterials, right? So
Right.
that's where you need to focus.
If possible, what I would like to see in this is something very similar to what they have up here, overlaying with the site plan on there, showing where the trees are planted, showing how it's obstructed at
Yeah.
full maturity, if not, so.
Perfect.
clear? Trent?
Yeah, he said, yeah, he nodded his head.
You're good. You're understanding what we're looking for, right? Okay, if it is deferred.
Help, I can also send some of these same languages from other,
No, I'm just worried about Smyrna.
if they define what the screening is and how
Yeah,
to achieve it.
no, I'm good with staff working with you on that, okay? All right, I've got a motion and a second, we have discussion, any other discussion? All those in favor of deferring this until next planning commission meeting in March, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is deferred. We are now on to new business, annexation, zoning, and plan of service request, Catalyst Design, 7025 Del Thomas Road. Let me get to the next page, and I guess that's it.
Yeah, this is a annexation request for 3 parcels of land that total 102 acres, currently zoned RM in Rutherford County, and requested rezoning with the annexation request is a PRD. Surrounding zoning is PRD in town, which is the Courtyard to Stewart's Creek development, which is directly to the east, and then the RM in Rutherford County. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family residential in this area. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Rocky Fork Almaville Road as a minor arterial. This property does have, this has no frontage on that road. It is very near that road, but it has no frontage on that road. The requested PRD is for 162 single-family lots and 40 townhomes, which would translate to an overall density of 1.98 dwellings per acre. If the common open space is 45 and a half acres is removed, it's 202 units on 56 and a half acres. That's about 3.58 dwellings per acre. Annexation of this tract would require the annexation of approximately 660 feet of the existing right-of-way of Rocky Fork Almaville Road and approximately 450 feet of the existing right-of-way of Del Thomas Road. It is contiguous to the town limits through the Courtyard to Stewart's Creek development to the east there, but this would provide that the roadways access in this site would be within the town, and we could control the improvements and those type of things. A second entrance, I'm sorry, skip to one. Required minimum fire flow is 1,000 gallons per minute at 20 PSI, so any house construction over 3,600 square feet would require additional flow. There was a letter they had provided from the Rutherford County Fire Marshal for the non-residential buildings here, the cabana and those kind of things. It's still going to have the same fire flow. They did get good correspondence from the Smyrna Fire Department as well. Since that would be what would be required, not Rutherford County if it's annexed. Number 7 is an informational comment, just so that they were aware of this. The second entrance must be in place before the 100th house is built. They will be connecting to the courtyards at Stewart's Creek development, and so that would provide a secondary access, not just the Del Thomas Road access. So they do have the opportunity for that, and they would be required to do that if this is approved before that 100th building permit could be issued. There are significant upgrades required to provide sewer for this project. It's required, and it is shown to be extended from Bankside along Rocky Fork Creek to the site. The town would participate in the cost difference if the line is required to be upsized, but otherwise it would be up to the developer. The necessary off-site easements will be required to be obtained and the line installed prior to issuance of any building permits. There are some streams on this property, so an ARAP will be required for each road, trail, and utility crossing of any of those streams. There was a traffic study done, and so the improvements as recommended by that study must be completed by the developer. That included some improvements to Del Thomas Road, I believe, and I think there may be something on Rocky Fork Oval too, but I may need to defer to Mr. Rose on that, to be sure. Within the town-owned portion of this, the fire department is required to be able to reach within 150 feet of all portions of those with a hand line. There was a concern in a couple of the buildings that might, just on this concept plan, it might be difficult, so we want to be sure they're aware of that. Comments 12 and 13 these are some of our new requirements with regards to corner lots and side entry garages and those elevations when you have corner lots at the side facades are required to have some architectural details that are not just a blank, solid wall or whatever. And so some of those things are probably going to be things we have to look at as things, if this is approved at a staff level when the permits anyway. But they still need to, some of those side elevations, they don't meet the current, some of those requirements and or don't provide any of those options really. And at the corner lots, again, they are required to have side entry garages, just as really more informational comment than anything. But we did ask them on comment 14, ensure that all dwellings on corner lots are oriented to face the more prominent roadway. The lot layout, some of the lots appear to have some of them facing cul-de-sac streets. I think they've made a few changes to that, but just wanted to keep that comment again just so it's clear. HVAC units are required to be at the rear of the house. They're aware of that. They have no issues with that. The improvements to Del Thomas Road are going to require them to acquire some right-of-way outside of their property. And so we had said that that right-of-way must be obtained and ask them to provide documentation that this right-of-way has been obtained prior to submittal of the preliminary plat, so we know that they can make the required road improvements. 17 is an informational comment. Townhomes do require now the monument or pedestal service for the electrical service. That's just kind of an informational comment. The initial layout, if I can get to, there's 4 lots that are near the entrance to Del Thomas. And then there's a long stretch of road with no houses on it. There's some amenity space, and then you have the rest of the neighborhood. They're putting those in because they want those to kind of be their kind of model homes and kind of be, so it makes sense from a marketing standpoint in the front end maybe. But in the end, those houses are completely separated from the rest of the neighborhood. And so we didn't really like the layout in that area in that regard. So anyway, we prefer they incorporate those lots within the overall development and have some sort of entrance feature or something there. Comments 19 regarding the sewer alignment showing on the plan, that's been done, so we can remove that one. Comment 20, the stream buffer, they have created a 30-foot wide stream buffer on each side of all the streams, so that's been taken care of. So we can remove that comment. And number 21 was a concern portion of this property, 3.04 was acquired from an adjacent tract. I mean, there was concern about field lines for that house may have been on that property. And we've got clarity on that. That's not an issue, so we can remove that comment as well. The last couple of comments there came from CUD, and they do have a will serve letter from CUD regarding some off-site improvements they're going to have to make there to get the fire flow to the site. So they're going to have to do some work on that. I think that's all I have. The applicant is here. Certainly, if you have any questions of them as well.
Questions for Kevin on this?
Kevin, the 4 lots as you enter, for new development, that's not unfamiliar, right? To have staged homes there for sales. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know the differences here, but is there an opportunity to move the 4 lots and replace the mail kiosk to where you bring the lots closer to the development, put the mail kiosk closer to the front?
Well, I think that's what we were looking at, certainly having, every neighborhood's got the model homes, I mean, that's not an issue at all, it's just that it's, for this layout, and part of it, I know there's kind of a narrowness to that front entrance and all of that, but, those, you're gonna have, it's almost like its own little separate neighborhood with 4 houses out there.
That might make sense if that's a concern, just
Yeah.
to swap the 2 around.
I think there's an option there for them, maybe to incorporate them within, again, from a marketing standpoint, I guess you have your model homes very visible, but then once the model homes are sold and you're not building anymore, now they're just kind of.
They're visible homes, right?
They become
Visible
homes.
dwellings, yeah.
Right.
Does this meet our current ordinances for the percentages that I know that we've all sat down and it looks like it probably meets that, but I want to be sure.
Yeah, we've, like, the new requirements with the 3 different lot sizes, and the percentages, those are all here, 7, 9s, and 11,000 square foot lot minimums. All the lots that have a county RM are required to be at least 11,000 square feet, and they are meeting that. There's a 20-foot buffer all the way around the site. Some of that being keeping the existing tree canopy where it exists, and some of it they will be having to plant because some of this property doesn't have trees on it. They're going to have to plant some trees. Like I say, the architectural requirements, I think we still need maybe a few more details on some of those corner lots with the side elevations and things like that, to try and be sure we're meeting the requirements there. Again, the details on that is going to be if this is approved and as we issue those permits, we're going to have to be reviewing each of those individually.
So everything that the planning commission and the council met on, this meets that criteria.
Right, and they're meeting the open space requirements, the improvements as far as that part of it as well.
So the 40-40-20 factor applies here, right? Okay.
Yeah, the altering facades, all
Right.
of that, right?
Yeah.
All those things
Even
are
on the
going,
corner.
again, those are things, and there's multiple, if you look in this packet here, there's lots of different floor plans and elevations on there. We require 12, and there's more than 12, so our main concern really was just on those side elevations, making sure they meet some of those.
All the buffering's in place, the lot sizes they meet our ordinance. To Mr. Gerald's question about the roadway, how far do we think that entrance is from Rocky Fork, Almaville? Enoch might even know better than we do, but.
Let me see if I can get a scale on this drawing.
It's not far. I've actually visited.
It's not that far,
I
but I'm-
visited this property at one
Yeah.
time with Mr. Collins, before this plan was even in the going. And, actually, I've drove this property, so, it's not very far. It's about, I don't know, a couple 100 feet maybe.
It's
maybe
not far at all. There's some, I don't know if we got them out on the desk or not, there was some, digitally, we had an exhibit that showed the road improvements that are proposed. I mean, it's not more than a couple hundred feet at most from the road all the way to probably to the west end of this property. I think that's 65, 70 feet of taper and a right turn lane is proposed from Del Thomas on to Rocky Fork. And then
So
of course,
how, are we talking about a right and a left?
Yeah,
Or-
at the improvements at Del Thomas, at Rocky Fork Almond, there would be basically a left and a right turn. It's a dead end, so there's no straight through. It would just be a left and right turn, so there would be a left and a right turn lane. And they're
Well,
also
so,
going to.
so that's where I'm going with the question.
And they're also
yeah.
gonna correct the entrance to it's more at a 90 degree. I think it's gonna be at an 80 degree, which I think was within the tolerance there of the intersection there.
There's
And
no straight through because there's no straight through.
There's nothing on
There's nowhere
the,
to
there's
go.
nothing on the opposite side.
Is anybody ever gonna, does that ever have a plan to be remedied with the Rocky Fork Road and,
I mean,
well, this
with,
does, yeah.
this is kind of south of where we have, the corridor that we had,
For McEwen.
the connection. Yeah,
Yeah.
so to McEwen, so where we were, but as far as the property across the street, obviously it could be developed someday. But
So should that,
it's nothing, no plan right now.
and I guess that's why, that's another question I've gotten, why I'm asking the questions to Enix Point about the 3-lane. Does there need, I mean, it's kind of like a dummy straight through right now. It doesn't make sense. But would we want that straight through there in the future if that land across the street developed?
I mean, yeah, we'd have to look at that I mean, it would make sense.
Unless
if
there's
you-
some improvements coming to that whole intersection.
I mean, I think Rocky Fork Almaville, we have, not this portion of it, but there is we are in design for improvements to Rocky Fork Almaville.
And that was my next question. I'm glad
Yeah.
you're touching on that.
Yeah.
I know I got an email from somebody that was going to speak here tonight.
Right.
And couldn't come. And that was one of the questions they asked about was the infrastructure on the main artery, which is Rocky Fork Almaville. And I knew we had it in engineering. It's about a mile's worth of road.
And it's really more the, kind of from the Derby Run up to Westover, is that somewhere in there, I think, is where the
Yeah.
phase is right now.
And Westover's not far from here.
And then gradually, I mean, eventually it's gonna go all the way through, but that's where we're at right now. It's kind of in phase one.
I think the development meets our ordinances. That was the main question. I mean, planning and council both agreed this is what we would look for, right? And it meets that. I want to make sure the roadway's done right. And it sounds like it's pretty doggone close if it's not already, with a right and a left coming out of there.
It wouldn't be a 3-lane. It's not proposed to do 3-lane
Right.
back to the west side.
Do we know how far those lanes would stack back? Is that something the traffic study would take care of?
Yeah, the traffic study shows, again, I think it's about, I know the taper was like 65 for 70 feet of that right turn. There's some tightness in that right of way there, but I
So
can't
people
remember how
coming
many
on to Del
vehicles were there.
Thomas would just use those 2 lanes?
If you're coming down Del Thomas, once you get close enough to the intersection, you're going to have a left and a right turn lane. Yeah, and it's going to be at a right angle, closer to a right angle intersection to Rocky Fork as well. And then you've got, if I remember right, I think there's maybe something in that, he mentioned something about a restoration. I think there were some drawings in there as well that had some improvements there as well. The engineers are here that are working on this project. They might could speak to that better than I could.
Let's do that. Is there someone here representing this development that can speak to Mark's questions? If so, can you come up and give us your name and address, please?
Hey, good evening. My name is Wesley Blizzard with Catalyst Design Group, the applicant. On behalf of Goodall Homes, 1524 Williams Drive, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Regarding the right-of-way improvements, as Kevin already mentioned, there's the proposed right and left turn lanes at the Del Thomas and Rocky Fork Almaville intersection. Additionally, as as the traffic study warrants, where Mr. Gerald also mentioned providing it's striped for it, but the left turn lane's not there at the Restoration Drive entrance. So it'd be a left turn lane added at the courtyards of Stewart's Creek entrance as well, which would be the second access point for the proposed
Kevin, do you have your
project.
laser?
I do.
Somebody got a laser.
I got one.
Would you point up there as he speaks and
Yeah.
kind of show everybody what we're talking about?
So this is the Rocky Fork and Del Thomas here, and this is not the easiest laser to use. All right, so anyway, that's where he's
Ken's
talking.
laser put a
Yeah.
hole in that screen.
You want me to put it up?
And it just changed color, okay. Anyway, and so the other thing is where he's talking about the left turn lane is right here. This is the courtyards of Stewart's Creek. That would be where the left turn lane would be
Okay.
added.
That's
And
what I was
then
looking
up here, there would not be a left turn from Rocky Fork into Del Thomas. That wasn't warranted per the study, but there would be, the access here again would be straightened, kind of curved, a better, more 90-degree intersection, and have a left and a right turn on Del Thomas, from Del Thomas onto Rocky Fork.
Question for you, with as close as we are to where this McEwen interchange is gonna come through, that study had no knowledge of this project or a lot of these projects here. Are these studies capturing that as well? Because there's gonna be a lot more traffic right in that turn right there.
I think there'll actually be less traffic, because where McEwen Connector is gonna come in is quite a bit south of this. And I think that connector will take traffic off of these roads.
I thought it was coming right up here, Rocky Fork, right?
It's
up
a
to-
little kind
No,
of
it's-
north and
Yeah, it's
northwest
further up.
from here, yeah.
When it gets to Seminary and that area right there, it turns right and cuts across country. It doesn't follow the road all the way out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it does meet up with, once it kind of makes the turn more direct west towards Nolensville, it does hit, and is usually more of the existing right-of-way, and it will be widening to some of that existing right-of-way, where it makes this turn just to the northwest of this area here.
Here,
And then
here
it-
where?
I'm sorry. This, here.
There, okay.
Yeah, once it makes the turn and goes that direction, you're gonna have more within, that road is gonna have use more or less the existing right-of-way, not be as much cross-country. And this is all in a corridor study form at this point. No right-of-way's been purchased or anything like that yet, so, but as far as that, so, yeah, any development that comes in, we've had one so far that is near enough to that right-of-way where we would want to reserve. We are doing so. This one does not meet that area, so we would.
And all the municipalities are doing the same thing. I don't know that we'll see it in our lifetime, Ken.
I don't know, they're starting at the other end, they're making a mess down there, I'm wondering if they're in a hurry or not.
The Brentwood Franklin piece is, they're moving eastward on their end, because that's been something they've planned for a long time already, but.
Let's join them. Where's Dave? Where's Todd and Dave? Hey, Dave, let's just spend the money and join them. What do you think?
Todd Bagger pointing at Dave.
We did, just so everyone's aware, we did submit it, and it has, at least, and preliminary list, it scored pretty well with the MPO for some money maybe, fingers crossed. So, to begin that connection westward as well, so hopefully they'll get into their next long-range plan, so hopefully we'll see some, don't know that yet, we'll know in the next couple of weeks, but at least where it's at, for sure, but.
Well, I want to thank the developer at least for listening to our ordinances. Many times it's a tug of war trying to get them to understand what we've been looking for, and this matches every bit of it. So as long as the traffic study does its job, that's the main thing for me right now. And I think looks like it's well under its way. Do you have any suggestions as staff, besides what the traffic study showed? If you were driving out that way, would you want to see anything different?
The only other thing that it talked about, and it becomes, there's there's just an engineering conflict more than anything. If you're coming from Nolensville, a right turn
On to Del Thomas.
onto Del Thomas, there
It's
was.
a switchback almost.
And, well, even with the corrected geometry, I think that would take care of that, but, there's a bridge over the creek right there, and it would involve widening the bridge, so to get a turn lane there, so that becomes a difficulty. We're not proposing annexing that bridge at this time at least, it would be something that the county would have to look at if they wanted to make that requirement. I didn't get that impression that they were. That would be the only thing that the traffic study would support. It's not being proposed to be constructed at this time.
But you're comfortable with the proposed turn lanes off of the artery?
The turn lanes from Del Thomas onto the artery, you mean?
Yeah.
There's that, then there's the turn lane that you mentioned on Restoration as well. I think that's a good,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, striping can be done there to take care of that as well.
Okay, anything else? Thank you, sir.
So it was said that Consolidated Utility would be taking care of the utilities on this, or the water on this.
Right.
Of course, personally, having driven this road many, many, many times, it hurts my heart just a little bit to see the R3 instead of R1 out there, but that's just a personal thing.
You know,
Do we,
let's talk about that. Kevin, the PRD versus R3, how many homes would R3 allow here?
Well, 10,000 square foot lot, 102 acres, I mean, you're probably, in theory, roughly the same, probably 200, or maybe, depending on, of course, that's assuming you could develop the whole piece of property. There's some pretty steep topography here. There's an elevations that I think the water service is going to become an issue, so you probably couldn't develop all of it, but from a density standpoint, it's roughly an R3 density.
So no more homes, relatively speaking, no more homes on this as proposed versus coming in as an R3, right?
Based on just a rough estimate of
And I think
general
that's something,
planning
that
tool, yeah.
we look at quite a bit, and I think there's, this trade-off. When you look at this and you look at the amount of undisturbed area versus what would be disturbed if this were sprawled more across this,
agreed.
I think that's something that, you look into it, so, I think that's one thing, and I think from an infrastructure perspective, if we've got to have more in the way of, and longer distances in the way of lines to service, and take care of, I think that's something else to consider. So, if we were at a situation in which, we're bringing in a PRD and we looked like we were getting, 4.5, 5 homes per acre on here, that I'm kind of with you here. But when you're looking at it and you're looking at, I know we look at density and then there's something called, I don't know what it's called. Is it actual density or what is the term? Yeah, I don't know, but
When you remove the green space.
Yeah, when you remove the green space, then I don't see it from a traffic perspective of impacting this any more than it were R3, and I actually see more in the way of green space and, natural areas that are going to be left undisturbed.
So what was your question, I guess, Vanessa? as far as
Well,
the-
where I was kind of going with that was, do we know if Consolidated Utility has done any infrastructure improvement in this area enough to be able to work with all of this coming that direction?
I think they have looked at it. Comment 22, there was a will serve letter, and I think I've read it, but I have no recollection exactly what specifically requirements. There are some requirements that some off-site improvements that are going to be required by the developer to meet those requirements. Mr. Blizzard may be able to answer exactly. I don't have on top of my head what those requirements are going to be, but they have looked at it, and they're going to have to make some improvements. Same way they're going to have to run sewer a pretty good distance to get there as well.
Do you have any information on that, or if you don't, that's okay?
Yeah, so just to provide clarity, we do have the will serve letters, which says they have the infrastructure. There was the comment, but it was specifically regarding the fire flow for the amenity and cabana area. And we've provided letters from both Rutherford County and the Town of Smyrna Fire Department, stating that the required fire flow, considering the occupancy and use of the cabana, which is simply just restrooms and a pool pump room. Anyways, it's only 1,000 gallons per minute instead of 1,500 for gathering places. So with those letters stating the fire flow of 1,000 gallons per minute is only needed, it kind of eliminated that comment that CUD had. It was only if we needed additional fire flow for the commercial use, which we
So it makes the
don't.
1,000-gallon flow.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that-
Yes.
Nothing sprinkled.
No,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, I think now that I think they said they had about 1,400 here or something. Yeah, so if they've got won't be an issue from a fire flow standpoint.
Okay, anything else from the commission? Thank you. All right. Good discussion. Unless, again, is there anything else in the way of questions for Kevin on this? And if not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve with staff comments.
Did, you spoke about this, is that?
I think the
you're
staff's
good?
gonna work, yeah, I mean, if they can't switch it due to maybe the fact that they don't have enough property, in essence, if they don't have the right amount of property to switch the kiosk in the 4 homes. I'm not hung up on it, I just wanted to ask the question.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
Staff brought it up, and I've seen it done like that before, but it kind of makes sense what staff's saying. I don't want to make that part of my motion.
Okay, so a motion to approve with
With staff
staff
comments.
comments. Okay.
I'll second.
And a second. Further discussion. All those in favor of this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. Okay. Next, we have a rezoning request, additions at Olive Branch, Lee Hollow Road, PRD to R3 zoning.
So this is a rezoning request. It's currently zoned PRD, requested to be rezoned to R3. It's about 12.49 acres. It is south of Lee Road. Its surrounding zoning is PRD and PUD in town, and RM in Rutherford County. The land use plan would support medium-density residential in this area. The major thoroughfare plan does designate Lee Road as a collector. Again, this property didn't have any frontage on that road, but it is, that's the nearest road that is to it at this time. This property and the 2 properties zone PRD that adjoin it were a part of the original PRD for Olive Branch, which was originally known as Tilly Farms in 2008. When that original development fell apart, the subsequent developer purchased part of, but not all the properties that were in that original PRD and amended that approval. And so this track and a couple other tracks were left alone, kind of left on their own, and we're not a part of that PRD amendment. And so this property, but most likely there will be the Olive Branch PRD, which is directly to the east, will eventually have some roads stubbed into it. This property that would be as part of that development, and this would be accessed that way. So it will be at some point in the future. Those roads do not exist today. So this kind of shows you a little bit more of this map. The orange kind of color there is the PUD. That's the Olive Branch PUD as it exists today. And then, which is, they have begun development on the southern end of this. They have started work on that and some grading. This would be just this portion of this tract. Again, there's another tract to the east, which is not a part of this, that would remain. I think there's one house on it. And then there's the vacant tract to the north, which that owner has contacted me, and I think they're eventually going to do something with that too. But right now they're not looking to do any development. They were kind of waiting on some of the surrounding property for access, but I think they want to tie into. But anyway, so that's what this is. Again, it's just from that kind of that remnant PRD zoning to go to R3. So that's all I got.
Questions for Kevin concerning this rezoning request?
So the reason they're requesting the rezoning at this time is to have an idea what they can do when the other developments move forward.
Right. Yeah, so they can have some, I mean, it's going to have to be changed anyway, because this is, the PRD that was originally approved is, it's not going to, it wouldn't function. So they would have to do it in PUD amendment or rezoning at some point in the future, and they're just kind of get it set up today, so they'll be ready to bring plats in whenever the roads get to them.
Okay.
Roads and utilities and all those things.
Other questions? Are you ready for a motion?
Motion to approve with staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments from Steve. Second, was that Ken? Yeah, thank you. Second from Ken. Further discussion? All in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion is approved. We're next to a sketch plat, Green Tree Cove subdivision, Skinner Drive, owner, developer, Michael and Marion Danielle.
Yeah, this is a sketch plat. It's for about 7.54 acres, zoned R3. It is kind of developed on all around it. You have kind of the Green Tree development to the east, Colony Green Tree to the east and north, Colony Green Tree to the west, and then I believe it's and to the south as well. It's all Colony Green Tree now. Anyway, so this is just a sketch plat they are proposing. This is several comments, really 1 through 5 are just informational comments. There are no roads shown on the thoroughfare plan here that affect this plan. Fire flow is a standard 1,000 gallons per minute, 20 PSI. We did ask for them to submit some water calculations. We haven't received those yet. We are concerned about the fire flow here, but so that's something we can work through them with if you all approve this when they get to the preliminary plat stage. But we want to keep that comment. We'd asked them to show there's the development to the west there has been approved. They are under construction. They started working out there, moving dirt. We did ask them to show those proposed road, water, and sewer connections, just so that we know all those connections are being met. So we do still need to keep comment 8. Comment number 9, they had shown sewer force mains kind of down both cul-de-sacs. Those were not allowed. They did ask them to connect to the gravity sewer at Fortitude Trail. They have now shown that, and that they are lots 1, 2, and 3, which are the northernmost lots. If you're looking at the plat, the farthest to the right there, must have a dedicated force main to terminate at the manhole, and that has all been shown now and can be removed. We'd also asked them to show the property lines for the properties to the north. That has been done, so we can remove that. And then there's a stormwater outfall of the Colony at Green Tree, which is to the west there, near lot 13. We'd ask them to connect that to the proposed storm system of this development or convey it around the site to the existing storm infrastructure. They have shown that being tied together, so we can remove that comment. And comment 12 needs to remain. We do still need to see their road names and 911 approval of those names on the plat. So with those remaining comments, staff would recommend approval.
Do you think you can, staff on this? Then I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve staff comments that are on the table.
Motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Okay, now is there any discussion? Okay, hearing no discussion. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? This motion is approved. We are now on to preliminary plat, Greystone, Section 3C, Cuba Road and Travertine Trail, owner developer Meritage Homes.
This is the next phase of Greystone. It's 13.62 acres. It's 62 lots in the Greystone PRD. Again, a lot of standard comments, 1 through 5 there. Again, no major thoroughfare plan roads are affected here. And it's the standard requirements on fire flow with regards to the 1,000 GPM at 20 PSI. No water or sewer will be available on this phase until phase 3B is built, so that's an informational comment that would need to remain. They did answer the question about the maximum square footage of the homes. It's about 2,450, so we're not going to have any issues with the fire flow, so we can remove that comment. We'd asked them regarding the number 10 about the lot easement behind lots 620 to 629 to be centered on a storm structure. It's actually a drainage ditch there, but they've got the easements in place there now correctly, so we can remove that comment. Comment number 11, they were showing Cuba Road as a stub street, which can still remain as a stub street because they do own the property to the north as well. They did require a cul-de-sac eventually because it is, there's no connection within Woodmont. They can connect to Woodmont there. They also would need a temporary turnaround here. They're showing a cul-de-sac, probably a temporary turnaround is all they're going to need just because it could connect eventually into that property to the north that is still property that they own. So, so we want to keep comment 11 there. So with 9 and 10 removed, we would recommend approval with those remaining comments. Consistent with the approved PRD and the concept plan for this property, yes.
Met the regs and ordinances at the time, still does?
Yes.
Okay. Other questions or comments concerning this preliminary plat? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve the staff comments. Do I have a second? Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? This preliminary plat is approved. We're now on to final plats. We have Stewart's Landing, Phase 2, Squadron Street, and Motlow College Boulevard, owner, developer, Stewart's Landing Partners, LP.
This is the final plat. This is for the portion of this development that we've already seen the site plan for one of the buildings here. They're on the corner. This is one lot, 6.186 acres. It's in the Stewart's Landing PUD. Includes the extension of Squadron Street right away there. The pilot place already exists. As well as dedicating some easements for some sewer lines and things of that nature, and abandoning some easements for some sewer lines that are going to be removed. We had several standard comments there, 1 through 5. A major thoroughfare plan does designate Motlow College Boulevard as a collector, and adequate right-of-way is shown there for that street. We Comment 7 is a standard comment about the signature of the owner prior to submittal for recording. The required fire flow is going to be based kind of on each building, what the uses are and that sort of thing, so that'll be looked at on that site plan. We did ask them to show the existing gas line along Motlow College Boulevard. That's still not been shown, so we need to keep comment 9. We'd asked them to add a small stormwater easement for the pipe under Motlow College Boulevard near the intersection of Motlow College Boulevard and Squadron Street. That has been done, can be removed. They had shown the reclaimed water lines were labeled just with a W. We asked them to show the RPW, so it's a repurified water line. So that's been done, can be removed. We did ask them to show the irrigation lines connecting to that repurified line, and that has now been done and can be removed. There is a sewer line, portion of the sewer line that is to remain. We'd ask them to add an easement. So I'm not exactly sure which sewer line that is. They're showing the sewer lines to be removed. But I want to let our utilities department have to look at that when they submit for recording to be sure they've got the easements correct in that regard. But, so we want to keep that comment number 13. So with 10, 11, and 12 removed, we would recommend approval with those remaining conditions.
Anything for Kevin concerning this plat, final plat? Hearing no questions or comments, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with staff comments?
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye. Opposed? This final plat is approved. Next on the site plans, Kevin, it's my understanding the Seven Oaks Business Center, Seven Oaks Boulevard, owner-developer Sharif Ibrahim has requested a deferral.
That is correct.
Okay.
So we will need to get a motion for deferral.
Sure we will.
I'll make a motion to defer to the next meeting.
I have a motion to defer to the next meeting. Do I have a
Second.
And a second. Further discussion. All those in favor of this motion to defer until the next meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion has been deferred and approved. Okay, we are now on to our last item under site plans, Spring Branch Phase 3, Bronte Drive, owner developer Green Trails LLC.
This is the third phase of the Spring Branch development. This is also the final phase of this development. It consists of 5 single-family dwellings and 59 townhomes. The phase is located on the north of Ledbury Drive, where that connects into the subdivision, and sidewalks are shown connecting the residences throughout the development. Seuss Street is shown to terminate at the northern point of the property, and Salinger Way ending in a cul-de-sac near the Imperial Boulevard right-of-way to provide a future connection when Imperial Drive does get extended at some point in the future. Square footage of vehicular use area on the site, 1.23 acres. That does require 5,395 square feet of landscaping. Applicant is proposing for 5,614 square feet, meeting our requirements. Parking required of 286 spaces, which they are showing for. And due to this being a townhome style development, no handicap parking spaces are required as part of it. Landscape plan shows a few areas of preserved vegetation around the perimeter of the site contained within Phase 3. Trees are shown within the front yards of single-family dwellings with a mixture of shrubbery and trees shown along the private roadways which do serve this development. Architectural elevations show both the townhomes and single-family residences containing a variety of materials including fiber cement siding, brick or stone on the front and side elevations. The rear elevations submitted show entirely fiber cement siding, but notes show the rear elevations could also consist of a variety of either hardy board, brick, or stone material. Elevations are consistent with previous phases and with the PRD requirements. Standard comments 1 through 7 remain, and staff comment number 1 was regarding the fire department concern with the auto turn. That has since been addressed and can be removed. Number 2, the plans showed the Imperial Boulevard right-of-way continuing onto this track, which it does not currently do today. So we just noted to them that this will have to be shown on the plat when it is submitted at a later time. So comment number 2 will remain. Number 3, as previously mentioned, a plat will need to be recorded prior to issuance of the permit in which that right-of-way might be shown on that. Number 4 was from our Public Works Department regarding drainage easements and locations of that. After speaking with the Public Works Department on this comment, they are not needed anymore due to it being a private development. Responsibility of maintenance of those easements would be on the homeowners association at that point. So comment number 4 can actually be removed. Number 5, any retaining walls over 4 feet will require a building permit, more of a standard comment. And then number 6 is also standard. Electric services must be on a monument or pedestal service for the townhomes. So with removal of staff comments 1 and 4, staff would recommend approval.
Questions for Mitch concerning this?
What was the final outcome of the buffer for the houses on Mason Tucker?
So, are you talking along Ledbetter or are you on Mason Tucker? Okay, so was working with the applicant on that extensively, and the applicant was also in contact with as many homeowners on that property as they could get in touch with. And there was an agreement that came between the homeowners and the developer, and both parties agreed to that, and that's what they're ended up doing. I believe, off the top of my head, I believe it's might be a 15-ish, 10, 15-foot buffer, and then you have a fence behind that as well.
Well, and they had inadvertently taken down some of the natural, so they made good on the promise to put in appropriate landscaping in lieu of.
Correct. Make sure, most importantly, the neighbors were satisfied with it as well.
Yeah, they worked with the neighbors really well to get something that they all could agree on. It wasn't just that they went in and planted something without talking to the neighbors and that sort of thing.
Has that been documented, so it's in writing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Other questions? I'll entertain a motion then.
It's tough to get a motion on the site plan, isn't it? I'll make the motion to approve the staff comments.
I have a motion to approve with staff comments. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of approving this motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Site plan is approved. Now we have a mandatory referral, Old Nashville Highway right-of-way acquisition.
Yeah, this is a mandatory referral request from the Public Works Department. They were preparing to obtain right-of-way and easements for the installation of a sidewalk along Old Nashville Highway between St. Michael's Lane and St. Luke's Lane. This would add a sidewalk on the west side of the road where one doesn't currently exist. This would fill an existing gap in the sidewalk and provide a continuous sidewalk from Chicken Pike to San Ridley Parkway along Old Nashville Highway. We did attach some drawings to show the proposed locations of those right-of-way and easements to be acquired as a part of this project. Planning Commission is required to review the obtaining of this right-of-way and easements and find whether or not it is in keeping with the adopted comprehensive plan of the town, and make a recommendation that the council staff would recommend approval.
Okay. Questions for Kevin concerning this right-of-way acquisition?
One question I have is right along that section of road, isn't there fencing currently? Privacy fence along through
Yeah.
there?
Mr. Rhodes is here. I know he's talked to those neighbors already, but
Yes, there is a metal fence along there and some brick columns. I've talked to several of the property owners out there. And I also had it surveyed a few years ago to see who exactly owns that fence, and it is on private property. I've talked to, like I said, several of the property owners. They've asked about what would happen to that fence, and what we're going to do with this project is the right-of-way that we need to obtain for this will be enough room for the sidewalk as well as the retaining wall, and then just past the top of the retaining wall is going to remain as their property. There's going to be a slope easement through there for construction, and then we're going to replace the existing fence with a new vinyl
PVC vinyl fence that's continuous all throughout that section. And also, there's going to be several trees that are removed. We're going to be replacing some of the trees for people who've lost those along the way.
So we're essentially taking down the fence that's there and putting back something to replace it.
Yes.
Well, a lot of that fence, I think, is actually falling.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
You weren't.
Yeah.
And it'll also offer more privacy, the fact
Probably
that old
noise.
ornamental fence.
Well, several have had privacy fences behind the metal
Right.
fence that was
Yeah.
there, so.
Yeah.
yeah. And
Okay.
they're falling too, because they've been there for so long.
Yeah, I had gotten an email from one of the homeowners asking me the same questions, which it sounds like you'd already talked to some.
Yes.
But I got an email asking the same question, so appreciate you
A lot
clarifying.
of those along through there were Bradford pears, weren't they?
I'm
I
sorry.
think they
A
were.
lot of those were Bradford pears, if not all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Which
had
need
to
to
kind
come
of get
down
rid of
They
anyway.
need
those.
to come down anyway.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's, I just think, from a safety perspective, this has been much needed and long overdue, because when you did, walk Old Nashville Highway, you had to cut through a subdivision that was not does not have sidewalks. So I just think it makes it safer all the way around.
I've had a lot of positive feedback. People keep calling me and asking me when it's going to get started. They're pretty excited about having that sidewalk behind their property.
Well, just to follow up on that, I think it's great that we're connecting the sidewalks. And I noted that on Presidential Parkway, you filled in all the gaps.
Yes.
And on the stormwater drains, there, I don't know if you're doing that or not, but
Yes.
they're replacing the ones that are quite hazardous with the ones at an angle, so just a good job.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been doing those on, I think, St. Francis. We've done 29 of them, I think.
Okay. Any other questions for Tom? Thank you, Tom.
Thanks.
So, we'll need to make a recommendation to council on this, so I'll take a motion concerning a recommendation.
I'll move to recommend this to the council.
I have a motion to recommend this to council. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor of a positive recommendation to council concerning the right-of-way acquisition on Old Nashville Highway, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion and recommendation is approved. Now we're on to the February bond review reports.
Yeah, and it's a long one tonight, so I apologize. It's about 19, I think. So the first one, Mayfield Townhomes, this is one that we've had a couple of years, approaching a couple of years now. They've been delayed. I did talk to the developer earlier, or heard from the developer earlier this week. They've been delayed basically after the FEMA, after basically they were done, got all the infrastructure in, FEMA amended their flood maps, and they've had to go through a process with FEMA to amend that map again. They should be getting that taken care of soon, so they're hoping to get started soon on actually building the homes in this area. And then, which will enable them to then finish the work, placing the topping and that sort of thing. So we want to extend that one 6 months. Buckingham Hills, this is one that's at the end of the maintenance period. If they can get those things cleaned up, we could release, otherwise extend 3 months. Quail Ridge, this is just a sewer line extension. Is completed, so we can release that one. The Gwynn Farms off-site improvements, this is one we've been working with them on some guardrail improvements and some things. We're going to do the improvements, and they're actually going to pay us back for that part of it on one of the guardrails there, which is comment 2 on the punch list. So we'd want to go ahead and extend that one. That project is, I think, started work this week, I believe. So we can extend that one for 3 months to kind of get that project, hopefully get that one knocked out. Blakeney, Section 3, Phase 1. There's multiple phases of Blakeney here. This first phase of Blakeney is about 73% built. Would recommend a 6-month extension on that one. Several of the Blakeneys are at the end of the maintenance period. So Section 2, Phase 2, Section 2, Phase 3. And then, I think let's get the page here. yeah, section 2, phase 1, and then section 1 and phase 2 are all at the end of the phase, maintenance periods. If they get done before their expiration dates, we can release, otherwise extend 3 months. I'm meeting with that developer on a different issue tomorrow, so I'm bringing that up because those have been hanging on a little too long. I think they need to get those knocked out. Buckingham Place 3, again, end of the maintenance period. If we can get that done, it's only a couple items left. They could get those knocked out, that would be good. I would like, hopefully they can by early March there when it expires, otherwise extend 3 months. Derby Run 2C, they did ask for a 6-month extension. They plan to put the final services on phases 2A, 2C, and 2D at the same time within the next 6 months, so they did request a 6-month extension there, so would recommend that. Rookers Bend, Section 1, Phase 2, did request a 1-year extension on that. And they are about 44% built out, so we did recommend 6 months because we typically after 2 years, our regs do 1 year at 1 year time frame to go to 2 years, but beyond 2 years do typically recommend a few shorter time frames, so we do recommend 6 months. Greystone 1A and 1C, would recommend, there are still some building in those phases, so we recommend a 6-month extension on both of those. They are still building in those phases. Pinto Place Townhomes, would recommend a 6-month extension there. I'm sorry, Portico Place Townhomes. Burton Farms Annex, they're getting close to built out there. They did ask for a 1-year extension, but only recommend 6 months on that at this time just because they are getting close to finished of home construction. And the Derby Run Phase 2D, same comment as 2C there, just a 6-month extension there. They're going to paint, and then 2A is the next one. Both of those recommend 6 months. And then Walnut Ridge, which is the last one, again, end of the maintenance period, would recommend a extension or release if they get done, otherwise a 3-month extension to get them into the spring, hopefully get those knocked out. So that's the report.
Okay. Any questions concerning the bond review report?
Riveting.
I'm sorry?
That was riveting.
Glad you liked it.
Charles is awake.
Do I have a motion?
I would move to accept the report.
Thank you. I have a motion to accept the report. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion. All those in favor of acceptance and approval of the bond review report, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Bond review report is approved. Staff comments.
Don't have a lot of, I would let the planning commission members and the audience, anyone watching know, we are, a week from tonight, we are having we're calling a town hall roadshow. We're going to be at Stewart's Creek Middle School at 6 p.m., I believe, if I'm right. And so we're going to have some presentations from several staff departments, kind of presenting different projects, things that are going on in town, and we'd like to invite the public to come out. Who wouldn't have to all to come into town hall to come. They can just go to the middle school, kind of in their neighborhood, and we'd be happy to answer questions and things that they have about projects or questions they have. Maybe it's something they want to do with their property or buildings or whatever. So, anyway, that's next Thursday night, the 12th at 6 p.m. So just invite everyone to come.
All right, very good. Anything else? Other business? Anything from the commission?
Is that on the Facebook page, Kevin?
Yes, it's been on the Facebook page multiple times, yes.
Ken, you'll be there?
Very possible.
Thank you. Anything else from the commission?
Is it Stewart's Creek or Stewart Creek?
It's Stewart's
Stewart.
Creek. I think it's Stewart's
There's an
Creek.
S.
Yeah. It's got an S on it.
Like, is it Stewart's Landing or Stewart's Landing?
Anything else other than annunciation? And we stand adjourned.